Hi, everyone. I got a few emails this week asking for what would I recommend to do as some kind of fun, get to know your students, but incorporate some math activities at the lower grades. And at all grades, as I shared in my newsletter, I definitely would incorporate estimatry use. This is just an excellent routine. It incorporates lots of math skills. This one called Flying Cars is a geared for a second grade. I think you could use it second above. I certainly think you could use it in first grade as well. Kindergarten might be a push, but it incorporates skip counting and recognizing numbers and talking about the structure of um, numbers in terms of skip counting. So if you've never done an estimatry with your class, first you have to kind of explain what the routine is. And that is that I'm going to give you a visual and I'm going to ask you to make an estimate for how much you think is there in that picture. And you need to be as observant as possible. So you might want to do a brainstorming prior to even asking for estimates. So like, what do you notice? I noticed cars. I noticed they're different colors. I noticed that there's green, yellow, blue, and red. I noticed there's a die. I noticed there's a bunch in a cup and some above on a string. There's really no wrong answers, and it's a way to get all of the students in your class to participate and engage in a non-threatening, kind of low floor type activity. So now I want students to make an estimate for how many cars do they think are in all. So I really want them to look at this picture and come up with a reasonable estimate. I don't want them to say 10. And the reason I don't is because I can see that there's 5 cars here and a bunch in the cup. So I know that there's a lot more than 10. I don't want them to say 1,000 because this is a cup that we could pour some water in and drink from. And most of them probably have at one point. So I don't think you could fit 1,000 cars in there. I don't even think 100. So as the clues appear, kids can revise their answer, but their answer has to meet all 5 clues. So that's something that you need to let them know. And together as a class, you are going to start with a variety of answers and then shorten the answer set to a smaller and smaller set where more than one answer might be possible, and they have to decide what is the most reasonable for the picture. So I would have them write them down. And then another good thing would be, all right, everyone's going to share their number. I want to hear what the class has. I want to know what's the lowest estimate. I want to know what the highest is. Do we all say the same answer? Or are we all over the place? Here's where you provide some support so that you can make sense and you can make this go as long or as quick as you want to. But it says clue number 1, we're going to count from 2s to 60. And the answer is going to be one of those numbers in that count sequence. And so here at the younger grades, this is where I would definitely provide some structure. In the upper grades, you could take the structure away if you felt they were able to do that and reason through the problem. So let's go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60. And before you revealed the clue, you could ask, what patterns do you see? And hopefully kids would share some things like, well, when you go this way, you're adding 2 because we just skip counted by 2s. When you go this way, you're adding 10. If I look here in each of the columns, the 1s are always the same, but the 10s increase again by 10 as I go down. Someone might notice, well, if you look at the diagonals, it also increases by an amount, and that amount is 12. And then you could ask, well, why is it 12? Well, because you're going down 10 and over 2. 10 and 2 make 12. So just conversations and questionings you could ask. Clue number 2, count by 3 to 60. So the answer is one of those numbers. So here, I'm not going to add the numbers in. I'm going to use what I already have. And you might want to point out at some point that these have 0 tens because they're digits, and you can write the 0 in front of the number, but it is also okay to write it without that 0. That's up to you if you want to point that out or not. So this time we're going to count by threes, and if our number happens to be on the list, I'm going to circle it. So it would be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 39, 42, 45, 48, and then we're going to add 51, 54, 57, and 60. So now have kids check, do they have a number that is even and circled? Because those are the ones that are in the counting sequence 2 to 60 and 3 to 60. If they don't, they need to change their answer. The next clue is fairly easy for all of them. It can't have a 0 in their digit. So we don't have to look at the whole thing. I just have to look at my ones that are circled and eliminate them if there's a 0 as a digit in the tens or the ones. And instead of telling them that, you might ask them that, because I bet this right here will be a debatable one. But that is out. And then 30 and the 60. Cross out any number that matches the digit of the cars flying above the cup. So I would ask, how many cars are flying above the cup? Hopefully someone would raise their hand and say 5, and not with counting, because if you look at them, you can see clearly a 3 and a 2 make 5. So that means I have to cross out anything with a 5, and they might tell you at first there are none because they're looking at the ones place. But we can talk about, is there any with a 5 in the tens? And then we should cross out all of the 50s, which is really just the 54 answer because it's in the circle. And our last clue is cross out any numbers that are represented on the die. So here you have to point their attention to the die and say, okay, what number is that? And now look at our answers here that I still have. I have a 12, an 18, 24, 36, 48, and 42. And which ones have a 2 either in the ones or the tens, because those are the ones we have to cross out. And so I crossed them out, the 12, the 42, and the 24. And what I'm left with are 3 numbers, 18, 36, and 48. And it's going to be one of those answers. And you're going to have to ask kids to make an argument for which one they think. You could have them vote. You could have them make an argument and say, I think it's 36 because, or I think it's 48. I don't think it's 18 because, and they can engage in the math practices. So once they've decided which number they think it is, it's time for the reveal. And you can reveal the answer, which is 48 cars. 18 looks too small. Here's 5 here, and there's a whole bunch in the cup. And if you could just count what you can see, I think you're going to get 18 or more. And remember, if you can see that amount, there's some hidden because it's 3-dimensional. So I will attach this video with the PowerPoint, and I hope you try it out. I think this is a really great, fun activity, and it incorporates lots of math ideas we want our kids to be thinking about as we begin the year. I hope you all have a great first day. Bye.